Welcome to the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast, and I'm your host, Dwayne Kerrigan. With 35 years in business and close to 30 ventures across 12 industries, I've seen a lot. Amid the celebrity allure of entrepreneurship, many exceptional entrepreneurs remain shadowed. Here, I team up with these hidden talents to unveil their challenges and successes. Dive in with me to unearth entrepreneurial gems, learn from our experiences, and get educated. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the second part of my conversation with Master Stephen Coe. If you didn't listen to the first one, this one is not going to make any sense. So go back and listen to last week's and then come back to this one. If you have heard it, tune in, put your boots on, because we're going to go deep here in the realm of spirituality and actualization and energy understanding. What Master Coe shares is just phenomenal. So tune in to a fantastic conversation and make sure you have a notepad and a piece of paper. It is an amazing conversation with a man who is, probably in the top 3 influences of my life in the last decade. Thanks very much for tuning in. Appreciate you. Share this one with as many people as you can. You never know where this conversation may lead somebody. It's been life-changing for me. So God bless, guys, and enjoy the conversation.
People become too dependent on giving the responsibility of their health to someone else. But once you realize, hey, I can affect a change in my body through my thoughts, my feelings, and my consciousness, they feel more empowered. So that's how I would approach it.
Thank you for that. This doesn't just happen with health. This happens with people's psychology at work. It happens with their family members. It happens in their intimate relationships. It happens, and 2 of the things that I wrote down were like, well, stress, mental health. These are, and I'm assuming or hallucinating that is where these things show up. And you made a comment about negative energy gets parked like a car almost. How do you know whether it's in, which chakra it's in or what energy source of your body it is in? Does it show up like a headache, or does it, I'm not 100% sure, but even for people who are just completely unaware of this.
Okay, let me explain it in 2 parts. So part 1 is based on what we do in pranic healing, because of all the thousands of people my teachers work with, and found the pattern. Okay, if you have a lot of anger, stress, it's in the solar plexus energy center, it's in your throat, in between your eyebrows, your crown, back solar plexus. In other words, there's a specific part. Okay, so if somebody comes up to me for a session, they tell me what it is, I just basically go, okay, the pattern for that is this is what I work on. So that's assuming you know it. Now, if you don't know anything about it at all, if you just go purely by feeling, you will notice that when you get stressed, the first thing you notice is you feel a difference in your breathing. You always hear this. When you're stressed, the breathing is quick and erratic. When you're calm, it's longer, it's not so fast, and there's a certain rhythm. So that tells you your diaphragm is affected. Now, on your diaphragm is an energy center, which most of you know, it's called the solar plexus. So when a person gets stressed and angry, number 1 cause right here. And then most of the time, when somebody's emotional, going through emotional stress, the mental faculty is part of it. So solar plexus, in between your eyebrows and top of your head. So those areas alone, we know for sure, even if you don't know anything about energy, it's where the stress energies are parked. So when you have someone, okay, they're stressed out, do some breathing. When they start inhaling and exhaling, you're forcing the solar plexus center to affect the diaphragm, and vice versa. And the person's like, okay, I'm coming down. And so when that happens, usually people do some visualization. So when they do some visualization of light, a flower, whatever else, then these energy centers start releasing old energies. Now, if I'm talking to someone with absolutely no background, that's the language I will use. But if somebody has some background in healing, I'll say, okay, these are the areas where it's affected. Close your eyes. Imagine violet light going to here, 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 here. Inhale. Imagine the violet light going in. Exhale. Imagine it's pushing stuff out. So the effect is almost the same. It just depends on the audience I'm talking to.
Right. And so when you just for the audience, so when you said the violet light goes here, here, and here, you're talking about the crown of the
The
head,
crown,
in
in
between the
between the
eyebrows,
eyebrows, front and back solar plexus area.
front and back solar plexus.
Yeah.
And
I'm
just out of
sorry, I talk
curiosity,
so fast.
no, 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 it's great. The violet light, what is the relevance to violet light versus yellow light?
Interesting you should ask. Okay, in most religions, they have rituals, right? So I don't know if you know anything about Catholicism. I was Catholic when I was in the Philippines, so I went through all the rituals and so on and so on. Now,
So was I. Yeah. I
oh,
was
okay, then
raised
you know.
Catholic. Yeah.
So there's a particular sacrament where you go into a little box and emotionally vomit on the priest. Do you remember that one? It's called confession, right? You go, bless you, Father, for I've sinned, my last confession. They go, you just, and after you go, oh, Father, I feel better. Oh, great. Now, interesting enough, you will remember in the Catholic tradition, each sacrament, they wear a particular shawl or scarf around their neck. And confession is always purple. Now, if you ask the priest why, they don't have a clue. As soon as they're a priest, they just say, hey, this is what we've been doing for who knows how long. But in
Right.
reality, when they put that on, their whole energy field turns violet. So that when the negative emotions like gray clouds come out of the parishioner to them, the violet light breaks it up. And if you talk to most people who do some form of meditation or prayer, they will start noticing, well, yeah, when I visualize or meditate, I seem to see some violet light. Violet is the color of a certain frequency of spiritual energy. So what happens is when you inhale, exhale slowly, and you visualize the violet light coming in, you're actively taking that violet light like a fire hose to the areas where the stress energy is and flushing it out. That's why.
Hmm, interesting. Okay. I've not, and is that obvious? Because I mean, I meditate probably, I used to meditate every day. Now I'm probably meditating 4 days a week. Um, and that's just mostly because of time constraints, or lack of discipline, actually, probably is a better word. But I've never seen violet light. Like, is that a pretty common thing?
Some people see it. If it,
Trying to figure out if
okay,
I'm an underachiever.
okay, let's put it this way. For the longest time, I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything. I didn't see anything. I just felt better after.
Right.
So there you go. Hope you feel better. But I want to clarify something, if you don't mind, Dwayne.
Please.
Uh, a lot of people, okay, case in point, a few years ago, the UPS guy was delivering something. And they would ask our team member, hey, what do you do here? They'd say, oh, we teach healing and meditation. The very first thing the UPS guy says, oh man, yeah, I need meditation because I'm stressed out. Okay? It made me realize most people think meditation is something you do to fix something, which is actually not correct. Meditation is something you do so that you can handle whatever is thrown at you. It's part of your beingness. So, unfortunately, most people think, oh, meditation, I'm going to close my eyes and chill, but I can't because thoughts keep popping into my head. In fact, at UPW, the number one feedback most people give me is, I've never meditated in my life, or even I did, I can do it for some reason. At that time, you were able to help me meditate. This is why. Number one, most people think meditation and concentration are the same thing, but they are polar opposites. That's why you notice the harder you try to do something, the less you can do it. I want to have peace. I want to push this thought out of my mind. It doesn't work because energy, as you know, where focus goes, energy flows. Another way to put it is, the more I don't want something, the more I feed energy to it. So, for your audience, just make it easy because being in business and also an engineer, I know what it's like to say, I need to quiet my mind because the harder I try, the busier it gets in there. Very, very simple. It has to do with concentrating versus being aware. When you're concentrating, you're using your will. I'm focusing on a mantra. I'm visualizing something. You're using your will. Okay? Meditation or awareness is the complete opposite. Wait for the data to come to me. So the secret is very, very simple. If you want to experience peace and stillness, you have to put your attention on peace and stillness, not putting attention on I don't want stress. So if it's okay with you, I'll guide you guys in a very short meditation, just maybe 3 minutes or
Okay.
less, to kind of make it more real. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. We're gonna take a 30-second break to let people pull over. No, just kidding.
Yeah, good idea.
So pull
Okay.
over, guys. Press pause and pull over.
Now, let me just give you some context. Most of the time when you say meditate, what do people say? Yeah, I was taught how to observe or watch my breath, right? Breathing
Right.
meditation. Now, I had the opportunity to, as you noticed in the CV there, I taught in a lot of the major tech companies. And these guys are brainiacs, okay? I asked the question,
I forgot to mention that. Actually, that's worth mentioning just that you brought it up. Like you've worked for Microsoft, Intel, like the list of companies, massive companies that you have worked with is like unbelievable.
yeah, so you talk about a bunch of people who are like left
Left
brain to the
brainers.
max, okay?
Right.
So I asked them, they have this wellness day or whatever. So that's when I'm invited to go teach. So I said, how many of you guys have done breathing meditation? You can almost look at them like, oh, we've been there, done that. I said, okay, let's try something. So this is the exercise we do. Let me just explain to you how it works. So how do you do your breathing meditation? Oh, I inhale, I observe myself inhaling and exhaling, and then that was it. And what did that get you? Well, while I was doing the breathing, my mind quieted down. As soon as I stopped focusing on the breath, my mind got busy. I go, exactly. You know why? You cannot experience stillness as long as you're putting your attention on something that's moving. When you inhale, there's movement. When you exhale, there's movement. The best that will get you is from turmoil and chaos to calmness. That's the best it can get you. It will never give you stillness because it's moving. So the secret is crazy simple. When you inhale, before you exhale, there's a pause. When you exhale, before you inhale, there's a pause. All you have to do, which I'll guide you in a few minutes, is to gently, here's the magic way of doing it. If you go, inhale, okay, I'm going to concentrate on the stillness, it doesn't work. Because our minds, our emotions, our thoughts are so used to what? Putting attention on something. So the secret is you inhale, pause, exhale, pause, inhale. You do it 1 or 2 rounds and you gently, very gently roll your attention to the space. And then you exhale, you roll attention to the space. Then inhale. At some point, most people will notice that how come there are no thoughts? Because now your will and your consciousness doesn't have anything to grab a hold to. See, right now, if you do the regular inhale, exhale, you go, okay, now I'm inhaling, now I'm exhaling. So your mind is grabbing onto the inhale, exhale. When you go to that space, there's nothing there. So your mind doesn't have anything to grab it and it'll just give up. Okay.
I got it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
Are we gonna
if you
do
don't mind,
this?
I just need 2 minutes the most.
100%. Let's do it. Yeah,
All
I
right.
love it.
Again, make sure you're not driving, you're not operating heavy machinery. Very, very important. Okay. Sorry. One more thing. It's very important to keep your tongue on the roof of your mouth. The question is why? You have an energy circuit that goes from the bottom of your mouth to your pelvic floor, like a electrical cable or wire, from the top of your mouth going to the top of your head, back to the same spot. The
Oh.
only place it's not connected is your mouth because you have to talk and you have to eat. By connecting your tongue to your palate, it's just like this microphone. Right now, it's connected. So the switch basically connects copper wires. This
Okay.
one, connecting your tongue, connect the circuit. And in an
Okay.
audience, when I'm giving a big talk, it also quiets the room down. Okay, put your tongue apart. Suddenly
All right.
quiet. Okay. Anyway. All right. You ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. Everyone just gently connect your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Okay. Close your eyes or not close your eyes. Doesn't matter. Close your eyes is better. All right. Everyone just gently exhale. Inhale slowly. Hold. Exhale slowly. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale slowly. Hold. Allow your awareness to just gently feel that silence, that nothing. And then exhale once more. Hold. Let your attention just be there. How does that feel? Okay, then gently inhale. Hold. Stay there. Exhale. Hold. Allow your awareness to just drift into that space. And inhale once more. Hold. Allow your awareness and attention to gently drift into that space. And exhale. Hold. Let your attention drift in there a little deeper. Inhale again. Hold. Allow your awareness and attention to drift into that space completely. Simultaneously allow your body to exhale on its own as you just leave your awareness and attention in that empty space. Your body naturally inhales and exhales on its own as your awareness and consciousness gently drifts deeper and deeper in that pure nothingness. And just simply let go and let things be. Now, any sound, any noise you hear will just help you drift deeper and deeper into that nothingness. Simply let go and let whatever happens, happens. Now, just let things happen. Okay, gently, slowly, very gently and slowly, just wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit. And when you're ready, gently and slowly open your eyes. There's 2 minutes.
Wow. That was only 2 minutes?
I didn't want to have dead air. That's why. Otherwise, normally I would stretch this at least 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes.
Yeah, dead air on a podcast isn't good.
That's why that's why I was going like this, just in case.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that. Otherwise, when I'm guiding a group, even at Tony's group at the Platt, when I do it, most people are like gone, and some of them are like this, out.
From a meditation standpoint, falling asleep, is that, I don't want to use the word acceptable?
Depending on the meditation you're doing. Okay, I don't want to get too esoteric here, but meditation is it's important when you meditate to accomplish what you want to accomplish is to keep the body awake. The question is why? Because if, again, there are many different meditations. If your meditation is to experience stillness, that means you're able to experience stillness with your mind, your emotions, and simultaneously be awake. Now, why is that an important outcome? Because the more you experience that in so-called meditation, you can take that into everyday life. Let's say in your business, and there's chaos going on, you're able to maintain that stillness and chaos within that chaos, be able to observe and act accordingly. Now, if you're doing meditation, you fall asleep, then you don't really get that skill to transfer into your everyday life. It's part of what's called discipline. Not in the sense that, oh, you have to be disciplined, but you're disciplining your body to say, hey, stay awake while my consciousness is in this stillness. So what happens is you do this enough, you start noticing that you're less reactive. In fact, what I tell people is one of the ways you know you're progressing, ask yourself a simple question, assuming you're doing some spiritual work or meditation. How were you last year compared to this year? Are you more easily triggered or less triggered? When there's crisis, do you start noticing that you're giving yourself that space to observe, or you immediately go crazy? That's how you know you're progressing. That's why what we tell people is give yourself benchmarks. It's not just, okay, I'm spacing out when I meditate. No. Do you see that being transferred in your everyday life? Do you start noticing that when somebody wants an argument and starts screaming and yelling, somehow you're able to observe and you go, oh, it's very interesting. This person is moving their mouth with air coming out, but this thing does not affect me. Or you go, oh, yeah. That's how you tell you're progressing.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? I hope I'm not
Oh,
making too esoteric or strange.
This is, I mean, I think this is, look, in everyday life and how we respond. And this podcast is not just a business podcast. We've said this many times before, that we are about personal growth and about relationships, whether they're intimate or you're in your business. That, my personal belief, and I've said, probably people get sick of me saying this, but inside this conversation, to give it context, is like business is just a series of relationships. Uh, and so if we manage our relationships, we end up managing the business. So that's one of my personal beliefs, and I can say, like, I have had a profound shift in myself, in how I react to my people, to situations that occur in my business, to my personal life and my intimate relationship with Tennille, with the kids, in the community. Somebody cuts me off. Like, if 20 years ago, if you cut me off, I mean, I was I've done so many stupid things. I don't even want to, it's embarrassing to share, how I've allowed my what I said earlier, my emotional home of anger, get in the way of my relationships. And through this pursuit of, you know I don't even know what to call it, to be honest with you, Master Co. It's whether it's spirituality, whether it's managing my energy, my awareness. I don't, like, it's crazy even to me how things don't affect me like they used to. And I'll be honest, like, I'll be the first person to say this, like, I don't even know if really can. I don't have an analytical reasoning. It just happens. You know, it's actually been amazing, and it's something I've noticed a lot in the last year. It's gotten exponential. And before, I think sometimes it was I consciously had to, like, manage it a little bit. Like, I had to be like, I'd have to think about, okay, I'm not my feelings. This is just, watch this go by. Oh, this is interesting. Like, I take almost like a see the seer of the events. Almost, I don't want to call it out of body, because that sounds a little weird, but that's kind of the perspective, is like I'm able to pull myself away from it and not have to engage the way I would say it like this. And I know I'm stuttering here a little bit. Sorry, guys. But it's like, to me, the animal response in me that, has gone away, and the increase in uh, time and distance between my response to a stimulus is completely shifted. And that's why I said at the beginning of the podcast, like, you've been such a big influence on me, because that first day when I walked through that door and you were doing that energy session with everybody, and it hit me like I said, it was like, okay, wow, what the hell is this? And it really put me on that path. Like you literally put me on this path of exploration, and I've not mastered anything by any stretch. I'm like a like I said, a little baby on the path right now. But
We haven't. It's just we keep trying, and then as you keep trying, you keep inching forward. So that's what counts. While most people are not even aware, this will be inching forward. So that's a good thing. Now, Dwayne, on what you were sharing, I was thinking that's actually the part of the talk I do at the Life and Wealth Mastery, and you just essentially you just told everyone how to do it. Uh, if you're interested, we can give you an actual step-by-step formula to follow that it will make it, how do you call this, more experiential for everyone.
that would be awesome.
Yeah, because you know, you actually touch on all of it. But to make it a lot easier, to make it more concrete, because I always believe if you have something more concrete, it's something you can go back to and follow. If it's just a feeling, then you go, oh, but I don't have that feeling. Now what? So I'll just start from scratch. It's as simple as this. If I ask you to move your body, what are you doing? I'm moving my body. What's being moved? My body. Who or what is moving it? You go, I am. So if I say, okay, feel joy, feel happiness, whatever feeling, what are you doing? I'm feeling this emotion. What's being felt? The emotion. Who's feeling it? I am. Okay, think of a car, think of a house. What are you doing? I'm thinking of a car and a house. Who's the thinker? I am. Now, that might sound very elementary, but look at it this way. If I say I'm moving this cup, I'm the mover, the cup is what's being moved. If the cup disappears, I don't disappear with it. So therefore, I'm not the cup. Make sense?
Yep.
So if I'm feeling happiness, at time zero, I'm feeling neutral. I ask you, or you see someone you love, you feel happiness, you joy. At time zero, you're neutral. When that stimulus came up, you felt that emotion. So therefore, you're not that emotion. It was created by you. Same thing with a thought. So the easiest way to understand it is the movement that we have, the feelings and the thoughts. A quick, easy analogy be if I'm a musician, I'm playing the piano, I produce, well, in my case, it would be noise or music. I'm not the piano, I'm not the music or the noise. Or if I'm on a computer, I'm the computer user, the computer produces data. So actions, thoughts, and feelings are like data or the music. So what you just illustrated earlier was, hey, how come there's a space like before I reacted? See, what happens is this: the more you realize who your true nature, you're not this physical form, you're this some I am, you're actually doing your spiritual work. You see, that's why I always say you can be an atheist and still be a spiritual person. A spiritual person simply realize that I am a spiritual being using certain instrument to function in the material world. So when you do your meditation earlier, when you're putting attention on the space between the inhale and exhale, most people are gone. You know why? Because at that moment, your body's not involved, your emotions are not involved, your thoughts not involved. What's left is who you really are. And when you experience first by saying, to experience who I am, I have to first realize what's not the I. The body, the emotions, so what's left is the I. And that's where things become very, very still. Now, how does that relate to your experience? So when somebody cuts you off, somebody does this, what normally happens is the emotions and thoughts we've created in previous experiences is basically controlling the I. But if you spend more time on who you really are, the I, with no thoughts, no feelings, like you're meditating, when you're moving around your everyday life, when things happen, it gives you that space to say, wait, should I yell at this person? No. Should I think of these bad thoughts? No. This is what it gives you the ability to choose because you have a deeper realization that every thought, every emotion, every action is created by you. Now, most people, they're walking around in life like puppets who are the creations control the creator. I hope that's not too esoteric for you. So the thoughts and emotions are creations of the I, right? I said, feel happy. Okay, I felt the happy, so therefore I created it. I feel angry. I felt it. So who's the creator? I am. So the more time I spend every single day, 1 to 2 minutes the most, of experiencing that nothingness with no thoughts, feelings, or actions, the more I realize when I go into my everyday life, I get to choose what I create. That's called mastery of the self. And
Mastery.
everybody gets there. It's just a matter of degree. And what you just illustrated earlier was you were doing it. All I did was encapsulate it for you.
As you were saying that, one of the thoughts that popped into my brain and it is there then I'm trying to grasp the right saying to express this, but is there then if you were focusing on that space between the breath, the inhalation and the exhalation, which is nothingness, then then are we nothingness? Like is that
Exactly. hmm Now, you're going to ask, well, if there's nothing, what's nothing? Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. It's actually quite simple. In the East, when you ask a monk, what are you doing? They say, I'm meditating. What are you meditating on? They say, nothing. So you're going to go back and forth. What the heck? You're meditating nothing. It's a matter of not understanding. The deeper meaning of nothing is literally, you break it down. No thing. Okay, let me put it another way. According to Einstein, E is equal to mc squared, right? So
Mhm.
energy as we know it has mass, except there's a certain type of energy that radiates in every direction, can carry information, but has no mass. You call it light. So when you're doing this meditation, prayer, some people go into deep prayer. It's the same thing. It's just a packaging. They call it prayer. They call it meditation. It's essentially going back to the pure energy with no mass. So when they say nothingness, you're putting your gentle attention on just pure energy with no mass, which is your true nature. Some people call it the soul. Some people call it the spirit. It's just pure energy. I hope I didn't lose you.
No, you didn't lose me at all. It's something that so if you don't mind me asking, what is your take on like reincarnation and if you don't mind like because if we're like if it is pure energy with no mass and we are energy, then we have no mass. And so how does that correlate with reincarnation and the reincarnation of energy or what that looks like?
Okay, how open-minded is your audience?
We're gonna find out. I'm open minded, so and we're having the
Okay,
conversation. So
okay. So let me start off with saying you don't have to believe this. I just want you to understand and then make your own conclusion.
yeah,
Okay. So let's put it this way. If we say the I, the mover of the body, the creator of feelings and thoughts, is not material. It's a spiritual self, a being of some sort. All right. So it's just made of pure energy. So this pure energy, let's just say, for argument's sake, comes from a universal source. Let's say we all come from God.
yep.
The way we understand it in deeper spiritual teachings is the I or the soul is pure in essence, but not yet perfect. So, in order to learn lessons, to become perfect, as you will, you need to gather data, right? You need to gather information in the physical world. That's why you have a physical body to experience what is pain, what is pleasure. You need to gather information in the emotional world, what it's like to love someone, to experience pain emotionally, to experience joy. In other words, all these sensations happening in the so-called earthly life, you need to have an instrument to gather that information. Same thing with thoughts. It's just like if I'm walking down the street, if there's a pile of rubbish or trash, if I didn't have a nose, I would know it stinks. If I didn't have ears, I would know a jet's going by a nose with noise. So the I actually has to gather information using certain instruments. How are we doing so far up to there?
Yep.
Okay. So to put it in a more universal form, the soul occupies specific instruments or vehicles to interact in this earthly life. Now, how do I learn lessons? Let's go down to the basics. If you have a child, mom said, don't touch that hot stove, you're going to get burned. You have two choices. Choice one, okay, I didn't listen. I learned it through pain. Or I'm a smarter kid. Mom's right. I won't touch it. So I get to learn the lesson with no pain. So just imagine every time you are very kind to someone, they bring kindness back to you. Every time you're generous, you notice your life become blessed with prosperity. So at some point, you start seeing a pattern. Every time I plant this, I harvest this. That's why the way we always say it's like there's two rules. There's two golden rules. There's the negative golden rule and the positive golden rule. The Old Testament is negative golden rule. You just look at the Old Testament, everything is don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Because humanity is young, so the way humanity is being told, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. When you get to the New Testament, the Lord Jesus said, okay. Do unto others as you want done unto you. It's the same law, except one is how not to screw up your life, one is how to make your life better.
Right.
Okay, I'm using everyday terms because I don't know what type of religious background your audience has. But by understanding this, the soul learns. Okay? Now here's my question. What is the average lifespan of humans at this point? 80s, let's just say?
80, yeah.
Okay. Is 80 years enough for you and I to learn every lesson and be perfect? Obviously, no. So, the teaching in reincarnation, whether you believe it, the concept is very, very simple. The lessons go with the soul, not with the body. It's just like if I win the lottery by moving to Hawaii, I don't suddenly lose that money. Simultaneously, if I generate a certain debt by moving to Hawaii, I suddenly don't have to pay it because the income and the debt go with me, not with my residence. Make sense? So since I'm not the body is something I'm using. This body is my residence at this time. So when the body disappears, the lessons don't disappear with it because it's not part of the residence.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. Yeah.
Assuming that people are still following this logic, imagine the liquid here is the soul, which is pure energy. In order to learn lessons, the soul puts a portion of its energy into certain vehicles to learn lessons. Once that so-called lifetime is over, that data is uploaded. So download, upload. As you keep doing this, once the upload is enough that there's no more lessons to learn, then no need to go back to school.
Like as you were talking about, the soul occupies an instrument, and the instrument gathers information or thoughts. Where does is the ego then in the instrument?
Okay.
Or
You sure you want to go down this road, right?
well,
Okay.
dude, I love this stuff,
All right.
and I, like I said to people, like I've said this in the podcast so much, is like, you know, what I'm most interested in for my own personal growth is deleveraging the ego, and so this is fascinating stuff to me, and so I love it, dude.
Okay.
And I
All
love
right.
your perspective on things.
I'll do my best. Easiest to understand is something like this. If I'm a charioteer, I have 3 horses. Okay? One of the horses is my physical body, one of my emotions, one of my thoughts. Watch this. If the horses are not trained, each horse has their own tendency. True?
Yep.
So if you take a person with no discipline, no education or anything, you take a caveman and have their whatever their body wants. What do they want? food, drink, sex, anything that's pleasurable, anything that's had to do with the body, right? Okay, that's the body. Let's talk about your emotions. What does emotion crave? It's very simple. If I write a movie script that's happy from start to finish or sad from start to finish, would it sell? No,
No, no.
because movies rely on one thing. It's called conflict. Conflict means you got out of the movie, man, that was a good movie. You know why? It is the nature of emotions to always be in motion. There's no such thing as a calm emotion. There's an oxymoron. So when a person is looking at the world through their body, that means they define the ego or the I based on what the body is experiencing. If the person looks through the look at the world through substantially through their emotions, it goes something like this. If they're feeling great, man, the world, it's wonderful. If they're not feeling good emotionally, oh man, the world's gonna cave in. In other words, you go. That's why sometimes you have a relationship where if one person is very emotional, the other person is not, and they stop fighting, and things are finally calm, both will say, finally some peace. Now, the person who is the emotional body is the one that governs their life. At some point, they go, this is not life. So what we'll do, they will subconsciously trigger a fight to experience, now that it's life. Because that's his nature. Okay, hold on, I'm not done yet.
Yep.
The nature of the intellect works like this. It's constantly picking a subject, chopping it down, understanding it. It's not even done with that one. It's go to another one, another one. That's what you call overthinking. Those represent the three horses. Now watch this. As long as the three horses are not trained, you put them together, they're going to take you all over the place. The data that comes from the body, the emotions, and thoughts is what most people call their identity. And they call it the ego for now. Watch this. If you train the horse, the first one, the body, okay, these are the foods you should eat, these are foods you should not eat. You should rest at this time, you should do this so that you live longer. You're basically disciplining that horse. That's why when people do fasting, most people do fasting for detox, right?
Mhm.
But in the spiritual sense, you do fasting to tell this guy who's boss. You want to eat this time? No, you're not going to eat. Emotions. If you remember being Catholic, what is abstinence? During Lent, you're not supposed to eat this, not supposed to do a bunch of things, right? I
Yep.
used to think that's to punish me. Then my teachers, no, 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 no. The purpose of abstinence is to allow the soul to have control over the emotions and the thoughts, at least at this time.
Right.
So if you notice you can do it for 7 days, then at least it gives you a certain idea that if I can do it 7 days, maybe I can do it for 1 year or whatever. It just gives you the ability to control. So watch this. As you're able to discipline your body, your emotions, not to react to every little thing, instead focus on love and forgiveness, you're training them. Your mind, instead of jumping all over the place, you go, wait, one thing at a time, let's prioritize. What's urgent and important? And so instead of being, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. As you keep training these three horses, your ego or your identity starts to shift. It starts to shift to something better. Okay, we're not done yet. Then at some point, you know what happens? It goes on semi-autopilot. When it goes on semi-autopilot, right thoughts, right speech, right action, you become a better person. But that's not good enough. You know why? Because at that point, the I is still the body, the emotions start experiencing. When you start doing more spiritual practice of some sort, you turn the lights down, no noise, no emotions. You just kind of, I just need to get away from this. You know what happens? You have no choice but to go from this, the pattern. Very important for your audience to write this down. From chaos and turmoil, it goes to calmness. From calmness, you go into silence. When you stretch that silence, you have no choice but go into stillness. It is only in that stillness you experience yourself as just pure energy. So when you look at your body, you go, I control you, I control you, I control you. So now your identity goes from the data coming from your body, emotions, and thoughts to the identity is I'm the mover of the body, creator of the feelings, creator of the thoughts. So when a circumstance happen, I get to choose. This person is showing me love. I love this person. I'm gonna pour my love to this person. Oh, this person's trying to irritate me. Nope. If my thoughts is not the I, that garbage he's throwing at me obviously is not I. So what should be the proper response? That's why there's a certain meditation that is done in the Buddhist tradition, and you don't have to be Buddhist to do it. I taught this at Amazon, by the way, last year when I taught at Amazon in England. You ask 3 simple questions. Question number 1, whatever I'm feeling and thinking right now, you just ask, what am I feeling and thinking? You answered, oh, I'm feeling pissed off, angry, my mind is all over the place. Okay, good. Second question, why am I feeling thinking this way? Well, because, this morning, this happened, and blah, 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 so on, so on. Whatever your answer is. Excellent. Third most important question. What should be my next thought or feeling? You know what happens? It forces the soul, the I, to step back out of that cloud of feelings and thoughts and evaluate. Do I want to escalate this? Do I want to make this better? It gives you that space you were talking about to decide, watch this, what thoughts to create, what feelings to create, what actions to engage. That's why it's so easy to give advice to someone, because you're operating and you're the observer.
Mm.
Once you realize that you are not the body, emotion, and thoughts, that you create these, you are able to be the observer and get to decide whether you're going to allow someone to trigger you or say, knock yourself out. I choose to be happy, period. Does that make sense? I hope that helps.
No, it's very helpful. I mean, I'm actually going to have to listen to this as well. And I listen to all my podcasts as a listener. I'm probably going to have to listen to this twice. I'm in this practice, but here's what I love about this. And, I want to be respectful to your time because we had a hard stop. You put me on a path back in 2017 when I first met you, and it has had a ripple effect for me and my family and all the people around me. And the reason why I so wanted you to be on this podcast, Master Co, is because there's one listener, if it's just one listener, that hears what you have to say about these thoughts around, and I want to make sure that I get this right, but we're not our thoughts. We are the creator of our thoughts, and we can influence that. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Or if I don't want to make sure, I want to make sure that I don't use my left brain to influence this too much.
You're right. You get to choose what thoughts, emotions, and actions you create.
It was so important, and I'm so blessed to be able to have this conversation with you today. And I mean, I could have probably talked to you for 4 hours because you are a gift to this planet. You've been a gift to me. You've been a gift to my family.
Thank you.
I mean, and guys, I know some of the things that we've talked about is not traditional, but if this puts you on a path to just starting to, it's baby steps. It's dropping a pebble in a pond that we ripple out to others throughout the world and in our environments. That my goal of having Master Co here was to just introduce this. If you are not on this path at all, it's a great introduction, and he's been unbelievably articulate about how this works in our world. And I do have a million more conversation or questions for you, and maybe maybe if you I'm going to be so bold as to say I might ask some more questions and send them to you, and maybe we get some answers.
Just to do it again if you have time.
Well, I always have time for you, so I would love to do this again. If you're willing, I'll have you on anytime.
Okay, I'm game. Yeah, if I can be of service, let me know. I just need to make sure that we rearrange stuff. But I'd love to be of service.
Well, thank you for that because to me, I mean, if there's one thing that I've learned, or have experienced is that, there's a whole open world in this area and it has such impact and it's had such impact on me. And if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today on this path. And I've not arrived at any place, but I am walking the path in pursuit of being better, progressing, and you were a huge influence on my life, and so I want to thank you for being here. Um, and if you're willing to come back, I'm more than willing to have more conversation about this.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, let's clarify it. I'm not responsible. I just contributed. You wanted to go there. I just kind of give you a little shove. Just imagine me as a little tailwind to push you. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, very modest of you.
Okay. And if I can just, since we're supposed to cover this and also help people in business, I just want to add one last thing because I need to get going in a few minutes, is when all is said and done, when you're in business, being a good person will always make you come on top. That's the way I was taught. When you're there and you're in a crossroads saying, "Hey, I'm gonna make a profit, but this person's gonna get hurt." You take that road of the person getting hurt and making a profit. In the long run, it's not worth it. Being a good person is basically a manifestation of the I controlling the three horses. So because it's going in the right direction. So the so-called ego, that ego is just a fabrication. Your true identity is your spiritual self, to know who you are, what you are, and where you come from. And once you get those answers, even don't have to be complete, but substantially, it will help us and guide us make more good decisions than stupid ones. That's the way I look at it. It's not going to make us perfect, but hopefully, it's leading towards better decisions, because goodness always trumps everything.
Yeah. Amen to that, brother. I'm already thinking of what the next podcast could look like in our conversation. Master Co, I'm blessed to have you here. I'm so grateful. Thank you. I'm going to have you back on because Tennille's going to want to spend some time with you. And so I know you have to go, so we'll let you go. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And I do look forward to having you back on the show, and so that we can dig into this deeper.
I'd love to. And we just need to, schedule it. And
yeah. You are a gift to humanity, brother. Oh, thank you for everything you do.
We try. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you being with us. If you found value in the show and know a friend or a coworker who could benefit from the conversation, please share the link via text or on social media. Remember, each share creates a ripple effect of knowledge and inspiration. We'll see you next week.
The views, information, or opinions expressed by guests during the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Dwayne Kerrigan and his affiliates. Dwayne Kerrigan or the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast is not responsible for and does not verify the accuracy of any of the information contained in the podcast series. The primary purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. Listeners are advised to consult with a qualified professional or specialist before making any decisions based on the content of this podcast.